Okay, today I'm back with another video, and today I have such an exciting news. The first news is very exciting, okay? So Xiaomi just unveiled a new charging breakthrough. Now they introduced 200 watt fast charger, and it can charge your phone from 0 to 100 in only, get this, 8 minutes! Wow, that's just crazy. You just, you put your phone in charge and then you just go, like, maybe eat, like, have your dinner or have your lunch, right? And then you come back, you unplug it, it's 100%. Oh, the future is so exciting indeed. Cannot wait any longer. Maybe the consumers will have this around another year or so. Maybe it'll come down to maybe 50,000-60,000 taka phones. Oh, if that happens, that would be so exciting indeed. Oh, one other thing, I completely forgot about this. So, not only they introduced 200 watt charger, right? They also introduced wireless 120 watt charger, and it will get your phone from 0 to 100 in 15 minutes. So now you can charge your phone wirelessly, and it will be extremely fast. Exciting times. On to our next news. On our next news, Realme X7 Max been launched in India with MediaTek Dimensity 1200, 120Hz refresh rate AMOLED screen, and the price tag is 27,000 rupees. Well, I think that's I would say a good price, right? It has a 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 megapixel garbage camera, you might as well call it, The 2 megapixel camera does not matter. So 64 and 8, right? So I would say that, yeah, the main camera is pretty good, and 8 megapixel ultra wide again, I just prefer a little bit higher megapixel than 8, right? 12 megapixel or 13 megapixel ultra wide would be better. I wish companies start doing that. Now, if we compare the MediaTek Dimensity 1200 with the Snapdragon 865, which was last year's Qualcomm's flagship CPU, you can say in terms of CPU performance, MediaTek is better. In terms of game performance, Snapdragon is better. Battery life, Snapdragon is better. And remember, this is last year's one, okay? 2020 phone. The phone I use has a Snapdragon 865 and a 64 megapixel camera. So what I would say here is that it did come with a fairly good price point, right? With the MediaTek Dimensity 1200. But I think that comparing it with a 65, right, which is last year's high-end flagship CPU, right? Because now you have the 888, Snapdragon 888, right, which you will find on the latest Galaxy S21 Ultras, right? OnePlus 9 Pro, OnePlus 9, and all that, right? Those are obviously more expensive. I'm not saying you should compare that with this, but I'm just saying if you just compare it with 865 still is ahead. So I'll say if you could get a Snapdragon 865 or 888 CPU, or even 870 CPU, right? Try getting that as opposed to this. On to our next news. On our next news, Intel just announced their 11th-gen U CPUs, okay? So there's the difference, okay, between so laptops have like two different CPUs, U and H CPU. U CPUs are mainly for underpower, like notebooks, very thin and light laptops, and the H CPUs are for the gaming ones, the big one, the bulky ones, right? That has a graphics card inside. So Intel's 11th-gen U CPU, okay, is like, so it has 4 cores and 8 threads, and they say that it can boost up to 5 gigahertz, the i7 one. And the i5 one, it can boost up to 4.5 gigahertz. Now here's the thing, okay, they compare it with Ryzen 7 5800H, I think it was. And they said that it is from 46 to 178% faster in gaming and 93% faster in video editing. Now here's the thing, that number is ridiculously high, right? I just cannot fathom, okay? I just cannot believe there is that much of a gap here. Companies sometimes they do it. Intel is, I would say, more like a desperate company at the moment, right? Because they're not doing too well, both in desktop and in laptops. So it is possible. So until these laptops go to reviewers' hand, we won't know for sure if they are as good as Intel claims that they are. So until reviewers get their hands, we won't know. On to our next news. On our final news, it seems that smartphone has been growing, and the growth rate is higher now than back in 2015. So that's very interesting, right? Since we're in a pandemic and whatnot, it seems like people are buying more smartphones. So this year, smartphones will be shipped around 1.38 billion units. So I would say that's very, very surprising, right? Considering that people are out of jobs, right? There's no jobs for some people, and it seems like they're buying smartphones, right? That's very interesting. So 3.84% or something like that, right? That is is growing, and in 2022, right? It will be it'll be 4.34% from what I can tell. So it's growing, and that's a surprising factor, no? And the most demand here is the mid-range and low-end 4G phones. But look at here, right? 5G, like companies are like screaming at 5G, like that's the future, that's the best thing. But 5G phones are still relatively expensive. They're not too expensive now, right? The prices have gone down. No, you could actually find a 5G phone now around $200, right? I covered that phone, right? Redmi, I think it was Redmi Note 10 5G, right? That was like below $200. So, wait. It was over a little bit over $200, my bad. But still, 5G phones aren't too expensive, but when the price of 5G phones are that low, right, everything else suffers, like the display, the performance, the cameras, like all those suffers if a 5G phone is like super low. So what most emerging countries like here, India, Nepal, Pakistan, like those countries wants is very good, solid 4G phones. Mid-range 4G phones and low-end 4G phones, right? So maybe that phone can be something like 18,000 rupees or something like 28 to 30,000 taka, right? And has like AMOLED screen, 120 hertz refresh rate, very high megapixel cameras. Like they want those. Like a 108 megapixel, like the Redmi Note 10 Pro, right? Best example. That's a 4G phone, and but besides the CPU, right, everything else is like superb. The CPU is like, they're really pushing it, because the Redmi Note 9 Pro had that same CPU as the Note 10 Pro, right? So they're really, really pushing that, but everything else is so much better. So I think, overall 5G phones are getting cheaper, but the specs are also suffering because of it. So I hope you like this video, and until next time, see ya!